Welcome to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. I'm Colin Whitchurch, and I'm joined today by Jim Turvey and Derek Carty of Roto Grinders to look at the Friday MLB slate and give out some best bets. It is Friday, June 6th. If you're wondering where Sean Zerillo is, he's off today. We gave him a little Friday sabbatical here. He's paying attention to the ponies this weekend and a little UFC. I did, for the record, see him log a bunch of baseball bets this morning already in the award-winning Action app. If you don't follow him there already, be sure to get those notifications, tail those bets. But today, we're focused on the three of us. We're going to give you a whole bunch of bets for this Friday slate. I'm going to go ahead and get us started with our best bets. I am on the Cincinnati Reds money line today. It's Reds Diamondbacks, Nick Lodolo against Eduardo Rodriguez. Two lefties on the mound here against two offenses that struggle against left-handed pitching. The Reds have 100 weighted runs created plus against right-handed pitching, are all the way down at 74 against lefties. The Diamondbacks are at 125 weighted runs created plus against righties, but are down at 95 against lefties. The advantage there obviously goes to Arizona. They're only 5% worse than league average against southpaws, as opposed to Cincinnati, which is 26% worse. But when factoring in quality of these respective starting pitchers, as well as the situations these teams find themselves in entering Friday, it's enough to tip the scales toward the Reds for me. Eduardo Rodriguez looks cooked. He's still missing bats, but he's just allowing a ton of contact and a ton of hard contact. His peripherals actually say he's gotten a bit unlucky, and you'd expect a pitcher to be a little unlucky when he's sporting an ERA up there where he's sporting. He's running a wild 376 BABIP right now, but it's not all poor luck. The last 2 years, his swinging strike rate has dipped below 10%. His first strike rate is nearly 7% lower than his career average, and hitters are simply making more contact on pitches in the strike zone than they ever have before in his career. He's also allowing a ton of fly balls. 2 years ago in Detroit, he had a 41% ground ball rate. His career average for ground ball rate is 40.6%. This year, it's all the way down at 31.4%. Absolutely terrible news, especially pitching in the Great American Ballpark, as he's going to be doing today. Situationally as well, the Diamondbacks are coming to Cincinnati off an emotional high after scoring 7 runs in the 9th yesterday to beat the Braves. An absolutely insane ending. The Braves bullpen is just an absolute dumpster fire right now. Brandon Pfaadt only went 3 innings in that game. The bullpen's in okay-ish shape because Tommy Henry was able to eat 4 innings, but it's still an exhausted and overextended bullpen. Justin Martinez threw 37 pitches 2 days ago. Ryan Thompson has struggled and threw a lot of pitches 2 days ago. They used Shelby Miller yesterday when they probably didn't expect to, which, in the grand scheme of things was a good thing because it was a save situation. They got the save, they got the win. They also used Kendall Graveman, but it's a shaky bullpen. It's a tired bullpen, and they've got to be emotionally exhausted after that 9th inning yesterday. Flying to Cincinnati against a Reds team that is rested, was off on Thursday, and the Reds have the starting pitching advantage with Nick Lodolo against Rodriguez. So that's enough for me to tip the scales to Cincy. I like their money line at minus 104. This game's pretty much a coin flip at most sports books. I like them at minus 104. I'd probably bet them to about minus 120. Jim Turvey, I'm going to kick it to you next. You are on an under today that I am a fan of as well, heading to San Francisco.
Yeah, I have to shout out our old buddy Andrew O'Connor Watch alerted me this. These Giants unders are absolutely absurd right now. They've gone under in 12 of their last 13 games as a game total right now. And half of those games have been 4 or less runs. So it is a combination of, an offense that has stalled out a little bit. They started the season, I think, probably performing a little bit over their heads. Really, really fun start to the season, but those bats have started to cool off as the summer has started to warm up, ironically, a little bit out there in the Bay. But then on the flip side of it, they have an incredibly solid starting rotation, and they have a really, truly elite bullpen. And that's kind of why I'm targeting the full game here. There are some signs on the other side of things. So they're taking on the Atlanta Braves. We have a pitching matchup of Hayden Birdsong versus Spencer Schwellenbach. Two very good pitchers. The Braves are the flip side of that bullpen that you just talked about yesterday in that crazy Arizona-Atlanta game. So they did work their bullpen a little bit. But I want the Giants bullpen in this because Giants bullpen to me is one of the most fun bullpens. We're going to talk through in Futures Friday later on. There's an arm there that I really want to somehow be betting on because this is one of those people that you identify and you're like, man, I need a way to bet on this person. So overall, though, this has been, a really strong trend of late for the Giants. Two really good pitchers. Spencer Schwellenbach has a pitching plus of 118 plus. That ranks third among all qualified starters. On the flip side, Birdsong, 2.37 ERA. The peripherals aren't quite as strong. They're in kind of like the mid threes. Still very good though. And all three of his starts have been unders for the Giants. So this is a combination of a trend here for the Giants that has been very, very solid of late, plus two really good starting pitchers I want to be on, and then a Giants bullpen. So maybe if you can somehow hyper target that Braves bullpen and live bet, when you see them come out, that's the only part of it that I'm a little bit nervous about. But I think overall I'm fine. It's about minus 105 for that under 7.5 right now. So I'm going to be on that under in the Atlanta San Francisco game today.
Never going to be upset when someone brings up Hayden Birdsong on this podcast. Pride of Eastern Illinois University, my alma mater. Not very often I get to talk about pro athletes from EIU unless they're NFL quarterbacks. But it would not be a podcast with some of our friends at Roto Grinders without some props. And Derek Carty has basically my favorite prop imaginable today, leading right into my second best bet. He's going to fade maybe the best starting pitcher in baseball.
Oh, definitely the best starting pitcher in baseball. No doubt about it. Tarik Skubal under 19.5 outs, minus 120 was the best price as of recording. This is not any knock on Skubal. Like, Skubal is fantastic. He's the best pitcher in baseball. I haven't projected the best pitcher in baseball by a good amount. But 19.5 is a massive, massive number. That means he needs to pitch into the 7th inning. And as good as he's been this year, he's only averaged under 18.9 outs per start. So he's already averaging under this. They're not letting him throw a lot of pitches, which is kind of normal for him. He's averaging 89 pitches. So if he runs into any kind of trouble, it's going to be hard to get into the 7th inning. And I really like the way he matches up in this spot. So he's facing the Cubs, who have just elite plate discipline. The Bad X has him projected as the 4th best lineup today for walks, 4th highest walks, and also 4th lowest for strikeouts. It really likes the way that they project against Skubal in terms of kind of pitches per event and pitches per at bat and driving his pitch count up. And so, yeah, I mean, Skubal is amazing, but he's also not this good. He has a 2.26 ERA. Like, it's probably, more like between 2.5 and 3, if we're being honest. So a little bit of regression coming, which will then affect the efficiency and the longevity, and the average outs that I said. So basically it's gross, but that's a lot of times where we find value, because the books know people don't want to bet Tarik Skubal unders. And this one is just showing so much value that I can't pass it up.
Love it. I cashed my favorite prop I cashed on this podcast this season was a couple weeks ago, betting Skubal over half of a walk against the Cardinals. I think he has 9. I think he has 9 walks this season in 12 starts, something like that. But he did walk one that day against the Cardinals. The one thing that I would worry about a little bit, and I wonder if this factors into your analysis in the Bad X, just as a follow-up, is the Tigers' bullpen has thrown a lot in the last couple days. They had to cover a lot of innings. Casey Mize struggled yesterday. Shout out to my Chicago White Sox for earning a split against the Tigers these last couple days. But they've covered a ton of innings lately. You wonder if A.J. Hinch is going to look for a little bit more longevity out of him today. But even with that said, 19.5 is still a ton. I'm just wondering if that is something that is factored in at all.
So that's something that I don't have factored into the projections yet. It's on my list to put in there. I tend to look at it because obviously, we would think that should matter. It's not ideal. When you look at it, the only guy who's gone 2 days in a row is Tommy Conley, or Canley, or however you pronounce his name. So there have been a bunch of guys who've gone 2 out of the last 3, but I'm kind of hoping that there's still enough juice in this bullpen where that's not going to be a major issue. But yeah, you would prefer to see a really rested bullpen.
Well, I'll transition that right into my second favorite bet of the day. It's funny, the Yankees and Red Sox are playing this weekend. None of us have a bet on that game. That's usually the peak matchup any weekend. I'm sure it's going to be Sunday Night Baseball. I haven't actually looked. I'm sure it's going to be on Fox on Saturday, all that. The matchup of the weekend, for anyone who knows anything, is Cubs-Tigers. This is an incredible series. 2 of the best teams in baseball. And I'm on the Cubs money line tonight. I'm fading Skubal as well. I feel like every time I come on this show, I'm fading the Tigers or fading Skubal in some way, but I'm glad to be joined by a couple of fellow haters today. It's funny, for as good as Skubal's been, we talked about it. The Tigers are 8-4 in his starts this year. You'd think it'd be a little bit better. I mean, that's still obviously very good, but for a pitcher of his quality and on a team of this quality, you'd think they'd be a little better than 8-4. But I really like this matchup with this Cubs offense against Skubal today. You mentioned how patient they are. They're pretty split neutral in terms of weighted runs created plus lefties against righties. A little bit better against left-handed pitching. But they have the 5th best WRC plus in baseball against southpaws. And they're going up against the best lefty in the game. So that is must-see TV tonight. That's the matchup of the weekend. As I mentioned, the Tigers are coming in and scuffling a little bit. Their offense couldn't hit the likes of Sean Burke and Adrian Hauser this weekend in Chicago. They're in a little bit of a funk right now. You mentioned a little bit regression might be coming their way. Some of their bats. It's going to be interesting to see, Javi Baez comes back down to earth a little bit. But in general, I think this is just too big of a money line spread considering the quality of opposition for Skubal today. Skubal's incredible. The Tigers are incredible. The Cubs offense is like on another level right now. And I just couldn't get past plus 150 on the Cubs as an underdog here. And they're sitting here in the plus 165 to plus 170 range. I think that's insane. I mentioned the bullpen. A lot of guys have thrown 2 out of the last 3 days. They've covered a lot of innings the last couple of days. So if and when Skubal comes out of the game, I mean, the Cubs bullpen is obviously a question mark behind Ben Brown as well. But given the exhaustion levels of the Tigers bullpen, if this game is close late, I like the chances on the Cubs. It would be a coin flip in that situation, and we're getting them in the plus 160 to plus 170 range. So I love the Cubs on the money line today. Jim, I'm going to let you talk even more about the Cubs because that's just what this is. This is a Cubs podcast right now, and you're betting them today in a different way.
Well, pretty much say that it's funny because I originally I switched it up because I had them as the third bet. I was like, I just got to join. We're all piling on Skubal and
get all the Cubs Tigers talk out of the way right now. Yeah,
podcasting would go 3 for 3 across the board. I like the full game look, but I do the Cubs bullpen is a little bit worrying to me. So I targeted the first 5. You get a slightly longer number because you are targeting Tarik Skubal in particular, which seems crazy. But what I did is I looked. There were comments when he won the Cy Young last year about kind of inflating that or deflating that ERA against some lesser opponents. And it looks like it's kind of true to a degree again this season. So without just rattling off a bunch of numbers, hopefully this is somewhat listenable. But if you go through his game logs and look at where he has allowed runs. So his first start of the year was the Dodgers, elite offense against lefties, 4 earned runs allowed. So they're the 3rd best offense against lefties by xWOBA. Then it was the Mariners, who are the 11th best, 3 earned runs allowed. The Yankees, who are the best, that's his best start. He didn't allow a single run in that. But then he's got a run of really bad offenses. Brewers, Royals, and Orioles. Those are all in the 20s. In fact, the Orioles are 29th best team against lefties by xWOBA, 0-2-0. Then he has a good start against the Angels, who surprisingly are 13th against lefties, 1 earned run. Then it's Texas, 15th, 1 earned. Then it's back against Boston, who's the 4th best, 5 earned runs. St. Louis, the 12th best, 3 earned runs. And then it's back to Cleveland and Kansas City. Cleveland's the worst. Kansas City's 20th. Those are both 0. There's definitely a pattern of picking on the really bad teams against lefties. Now he goes against an incredibly talented Cubs offense, who I believe is 2nd best against lefties by xWOBA and like 3rd or 4th by weighted runs created plus. So again, Skubal is amazing. Like Derek said, the best pitcher in baseball, but this is just an incredibly tough matchup for even the best pitcher in baseball, getting a number at plus 166 on this first 5. For this Cubs offense, and as 3 somewhat skeptical folks on the Tigers in general, maybe just in comparison to the market, I'm going to be on the Chicago side of things here. And even if Skubal allows 3 earned runs, that the Cubs are very live at that point. So I think that's a pretty reasonable path towards the Cubs victory today.
All right, we'll put a pin on this Cubs-Tigers discussion for now. I'm really hopeful that the entire city of Detroit has not clicked unsubscribe on this podcast just yet. And we'll move on to Derek's next bet. He's on another prop here, going to the Guardians-Astros matchup in Cleveland.
Yeah, I am on Jose Ramirez over half a walk. Plus 260 is the best number out there right now. A lot of times these ones just come down to price. Like this projects, according to the Bad X, as a 36% winner. And so at the price you're getting it at, it shows good value. Facing a pitcher in Gordon who has shown good control in limited major league action so far this year, 1.37 walk per nine. But if you look at what he's done in the minors, he's definitely been worse. You look at the projection systems on Fangraphs, every single system has him projected between 2.5 and 3 walks per nine. So expecting some regression there. Ramirez is obviously a good hitter that can be pitched around, can be patient at times, slightly above average walk rate. And again, we're getting a good number on this.
Before we wrap things up with our final bets of the game, I do want to remind you that if you're looking at the Payoff Pitch podcast feed, you will find a bonus episode today between myself and Jim Turvey talking about futures. We do this about once a month throughout the MLB season. Looking to add to our futures portfolio, Cy Young talk, MVP talk, pennant, division, World Series, win totals, what have you. So be sure to check out that. That'll be on your feeds later Friday as well. Jim, will stay on this game. Guardians, Astros, your final bet of the day is on the Astros.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Astros in the first 5. This is taking a fair amount of money. It's right around minus 124. It's probably right around the edge of where I would play it. And it kind of seems crazy. I feel like I think all three of us have kind of referenced these handedness splits. It seems crazy that something as straightforward as a handedness split, the market could seem to be sleeping on a little bit. But I have noticed in my years betting baseball that it does seem like, especially at the extremes, the market maybe stands down those handedness splits a little bit more than it should. So what we have here is a matchup between two lefties. Again, your matchup, Colin, that you bet was two lefties as well. A lot of southpaws on the mound today. Two lefties here and two teams that do vastly different against left-handed pitching. So the Astros have the second best weighted runs created plus against lefties, 8th by xWOBA, but kind of right in that tier of top teams. Whereas on the flip side, Cleveland has a bottom 6 weighted runs created plus against lefties and flat out the worst xWOBA against lefties. So we have a matchup of Logan Allen for Cleveland. Well, honestly, it leaves a lot to be desired. I kind of picture him now as like the new age, just like perfect replacement level. He's going to be like 4.5 ERA, 4.5 FIP, 4.5 xERA, 4.5 xFIP. He's kind of that just very run of the mill, can get gotten by a really good offense.
He is the replacement in wins above replacement. Logan Allen, right?
Exactly. It's like his picture right there.
Yes.
And on the flip side, Colin Gordon for Houston, who is relatively unknown to a degree. His ERA has not been great, but the xERA is actually pretty strong. We're talking very small samples here, so you don't want to overreact. But it's probably somewhere in between those two, something in the 4-ish range. That honestly might be around where Logan Allen is. He projects like a tiny bit better than Logan Allen. But when we add in the split offensively between these two teams, I really like targeting this first half. Derek actually is talking about, Gordon's control. I think that is something against Cleveland. Like, you want to be attacking this zone. So I think that against them, that's a positive approach against Cleveland. So this is right around, the edge of betting it, but the handedness split here with what Houston's able to do against lefties and the real serious struggles Cleveland has had against lefties, which is not a new thing. This is kind of a year-over-year trend for Cleveland. They've really struggled with southpaws. I'm going to be on the Houston side of things at minus 124.
One thing that this podcast is known for quite a bit is taking really, really nasty underdogs. Nobody here is bold enough to take the Rockies to win their 4th straight game tonight against the Mets in just an amazing Kodai Senga versus Antonio Senzatella matchup. Thankfully, we have Derek Carty here to save us with a money line pick and a prop on one of the other worst teams in baseball.
Yep, I am certainly tempted by the Rockies, but I'm going with the Marlins money line. Plus 160 is about the best line you can find out there in the market. This comes down to, I think, a couple of things. First, obviously the Marlins were just swept by the Rockies. So of course we're going to be getting a little bit of a discount because of that, because the entire public is thinking, wow, the Marlins must be terrible to get swept by the Rockies. And they're bad. But are they this bad? Probably not. The other thing I really like here is that both of the pitchers on the mound today, I think, are kind of going opposite directions of what their reputation is. So like Zach Littell has been a really good pitcher for a while. You know, the Rays are obviously, they work their magic with their pitchers. They're great. He's looked good this year. The ERA is 3.86. But you look under the hood and it's like, oh, I don't know if this is the same guy that we've seen the last couple of years for the Rays. His strikeout rate is down to under 6 per 9. His stuff plus is at 85. It's the lowest of his career. His pitching plus is the lowest of his career. So like Zach Littell, probably not as good as the public, as the market thinks he is. Then you look at Edward Cabrera on the other side, and I think he's probably better than the market thinks he is. He's a guy, was a top prospect, obviously has had good stuff, has thrown hard, but has never really put it together. This year, 4.14 ERA, doesn't look like anything special. But you look under the hood and it's like, oh, this guy might be better. His stuff plus is a career high 106. His pitching plus is a career high 107. I think Cabrera is better than people think. I think Littell is worse than people think. And I think we're getting a bit of a discount because the Marlins are coming off, you know, the sweep from the Rockies. And so I think we're getting good value on the Marlins here. I have them projected as, honestly, wow. I have the fair price projected exactly at even money. So we're getting considerable value on this, I think.
Love that. And you have a player prop to go along with that, right?
Yep. Edward Cabrera under 4.5 hits plus 125 is the best number out there for kind of the same reasons I just talked about with him. I think he's better than the market thinks. Obviously, I like the projections, like his ability to limit the damage here today. So I'm definitely on this one too.
Before we get out of here, I won't go too far on my final bets. I will just say Marlins money line in there, lockstep with Derek, and Giants Braves under. I'm on that one as well with Jim for all the reasons you guys talked about. So we will get out of here on that note. That'll do it for today's episode of Payoff Pitch. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to tail some of the bets from today's episode, look for the quick slip links in the episode description. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app and leave us that 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to the podcast. Also, check out the Action Network Discord. There's a link in the episode description of this podcast. We'll be back on Monday with another episode of Payoff Pitch. You can tune into that episode live on the Action Network's YouTube page at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. For Derek, Carty, and Jim Turvey, I'm Colin Whitchurch. Thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast. Good luck with all your bets, and have a great weekend.